Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, May 22nd. Ian Cameron will have Alex B. Smith along momentarily as well. And joining us for his second appearance on the show, happy to have Matt Geitka back in the house with us here for this Thursday as we get ready for a Game 2 in the Eastern Conference Final with the Panthers and Hurricanes. Matt, good to have you back, and just your thoughts on the playoffs so far.
Yeah, great to be back, and we're boiling it down here. This is when you can really start to analyze series because you're not watching 2 and 3 games at a time. Not that I hate that from the first round, especially. That's just a smorgasbord of outstanding, intense hockey after a long regular season. It's a nice prize in the first round, but I do like it now. We got some teams that are dead serious about pursuing the cup, and all four, you could make a pretty darn good case that they could take it home at the end.
Yeah, looking forward to tonight. Obviously, it's a very important Game 2 for the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't want to say a series is over if Carolina loses, but it kind of does feel like it. Like this is the game for them tonight. They're going down 2-0, going back to Florida, Matt. That's not where they want to be, obviously.
Right, considering they're playing a battle-tested team in the Panthers, a team that eliminated them 2 years ago as well. There's a little bit of a psychological effect on top of that. And just the weight that Carolina is carrying, there's some pressure there. There's some significant pressure for them to make good on all the regular season and playoff success that they've had, but just not in this round in the last, 20 years or so since they won the Cup in 2006. It's been a struggle for them once they've gotten to this part. It's obviously different players, different teams, not really relevant to 2009, certainly. 19, maybe a little bit. But 2023, certainly something that's in the back of their minds. And there's a lot of extra stuff is what I'm saying. So they got to go execute tonight and do what they should do in front of their home crowd against a really tough opponent.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to do just that. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. You know what will be interesting, too? Our Betcast tonight. We are on live during the game. Once again, for the second straight night, we are delivering an Ice Guys live Betcast for you. But this one is free for all. Last night, we were only on for our Patreon members, exclusively on the Patreon page. Tonight, it's open to the public. It's open to anybody and everybody. A free for all Betcast tonight. On Thursday, May 22nd, tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, Game 2, Florida, Carolina. So again, because this is a free-for-all Betcast, you're able to send either an email or DM to either me or Alex, and we will make sure that we send you the link for the Betcast just before it begins tonight. So if you want to join us on tonight's live Betcast, make sure that you obviously get in touch with either of me or Alex. Send us a DM, and we will send you the link for the Betcast certainly before it begins here tonight. All right, let's recap last night and what an incredible, first of all, what a great Betcast as usual on last night for a Game 1 of the Western Conference Final, Oilers and Stars. Lots of fun as always. And what made it fun is not only hanging out with the great viewers and listeners of the show, great camaraderie, great folks, and Matt knows this because he's in our show group chat now. It's great people that we've got that tune into the show and love the sport, love hockey, love talking about just the passion for hockey. That's what's brought us all together here for this Ice Guys show. So it was great hanging with everybody, but what made it a great Betcast last night was the fact that it was a great hockey game. It was an absolutely tremendous game last night, Game 1, Oilers and Stars. The pace was off the charts. It was a back-and-forth game. It was ebb and flow throughout the night. It was just a great hockey game. There was very little time when there was not a whole lot of action going on. Most of it, you saw the teams putting their foot on the gas pedal. The pace was excellent. I was so impressed with just the quality of game that we saw last night between those two teams. And look, Edmonton got off to the start they were hoping for. They got that Leon Draisaitl goal, get the 1-0 lead early in that game. And then it's funny that Leon Draisaitl scored that goal because he actually made the turnover or the bobble of the puck at the blue line that led to Tyler Seguin getting in alone on the breakaway and then ripping it past Stuart Skinner for the tying goal. and it ended up being 1-1 at that point, and Dallas getting their footing back. But then Edmonton played an awesome second period. Pretty much dominant second period, actually. When you look at the way they played, they not only got the only 2 goals of the second period to go up 3-1, they got the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins power play goal, and then the Bouchard goal, which I thought for a minute might have glanced off the stick of Kasperi Kapanen for one of my. And by the way, you talk about bad beats from a betting standpoint last night. How about the 2 bargain bin specials that I had on the show yesterday with the near misses we had with Kapanen, who almost got a stick on that Bouchard goal for Edmonton, and then later on when we thought I was going nuts on the Betcast thinking Sam Steele scored, but it ended up going off Tyler Seguin. It was mad. It was plus 1,400. 14 to 1 odds on Steele to score. And we thought it was him initially, and it ended up being Seguin getting a stick on it.
That was a crazy deflection, by the way. The puck actually beat Skinner, and then Seguin tipped it in behind him. That's a rarity. That is really a bad beat, but that's hockey, I suppose, for you sometimes.
That is. I mean, all I can say is Sam Steele was phenomenal last night for the Dallas Stars. You keep betting him to score a goal with that, and his prop at that kind of a price, I think you're going to eventually cash it, because he was making things happen in the offensive zone most of the night. He's been one of the better depth forwards for the Dallas Stars. But getting back to the 3-1 goal, it was all Edmonton. The crowd was out of it. They had really seized control of the game. And the rest of the second period, Matt, after it was 3-1 for Edmonton, Dallas didn't really get much quality as far as looks on net, chances, sustained offensive zone time. Edmonton was really putting the screws down on them and really not giving them much opportunity at all. And they looked like they were in great shape. It was, I think, one of the better periods of hockey that Edmonton has played in the postseason. They played a lot of good periods, especially in the Vegas series. But I thought, Matt, that second period last night ranked right up there with all their best periods in the playoffs. And then obviously we know what happened after that. They followed it up with maybe their worst period of hockey so far in the playoffs, or at least one of the worst periods of hockey they've had in the playoffs. And that's where the game turned. Dallas started the third period with a carryover power play. It was obviously important for them to get one there, and they did. A seeing eye shot from Miro Heiskanen, who just continues to get better and stronger, I think, with every game. He makes it 3-2, and then just an absolute on another power play, just a ripper of a shot from Michael Granlund, just a BB, a seed, just in and out. It hit the back bar and just ricocheted right back out. That's how hard and how proficient that shot was, and that ended up tying the game. The crowd's back in it. Stars just pouring it on again. They're right away back in the Oilers zone again, making mayhem. Now, look, that call on Duchesne with the high stick, that's a bad call. It definitely didn't hit him. It was not a good call there that happened there that on the high stick. That it looked like initially when he snapped his head back that it did hit him that high, but it was really just in the body area. So that was definitely not a good call there. But it gave Dallas a power play. At the end of the day, you can't be bitching and complaining if you're Edmonton, whether it's a bad call or not. You got to get a penalty kill, and you got to try to get the momentum back on your side, and they couldn't do it. And then, of course, it was Matt Duchesne through a scramble. It somehow slides through everybody, including Skinner, and into the back of the net to give Dallas a 4-3 lead. And a crazy sequence where in 6 minutes or so to start the third period, 3-1 Oilers lead gone, and it's 4-3 Stars. What a third period it was. And then, of course, we saw them, Edmonton had some chances, man. Trent Frederick whiffed on a wide open chance in front of the net. A couple good saves from Ottinger. There was a really good save he made on Draisaitl through traffic in the third period to keep Dallas ahead 4-3. And then, of course, my almost lose my mind moment with Sam Steele, who I thought scored the goal, but instead it went off Tyler Seguin. So, again, that close with the bargain bin, but it did go off Seguin, and that was pretty much the goal that put the game away 5-3. And just to top it off and put the icing on the cake for Dallas, Esa Lindell into the empty net to make it 6-3. What a comeback by the Dallas Stars. There's their second third period comeback at home, multi-goals down. We remember Game 7 against Colorado, the Mikko Rantanen legacy third period when it happened. So clearly Dallas is never out of a game. Hell of a comeback, and Edmonton's got lack of discipline to blame, horrific penalty kill to blame, and unfortunately need a save at one point or another from Skinner, who wasn't able to provide it for you in that third period. And then we talked about this on the Betcast, Alex and I, with our everyone that was on the Betcast with us, and it proved true again. Jake Ottinger gave up 3 goals in that game, But once Dallas got him the lead in the third period, he wasn't going to give up another goal. He has been so good at that when you give him the lead, he bears down, he digs in, and he becomes difficult as fuck to score on. And he has just got that ability to just shut it down. And he did that again last night once Dallas got him the lead in the third period. So, because Ottinger did have to make some nice saves there, a couple of them when it was still 4-3 at the time. And he did that. He shut the door. That's the making of a great goalie. That even in a game where you've given up a few, when the team comes back, gets you the lead, you shut it down, and you close the door. And obviously, Jake Ottinger did that last night. Unbelievable hockey game. What a way to start that series. And that's game one of this series proved why I was so excited about that series. And we got a little animosity at the end, too, with the scrum at the end. Bad blood flipping. I know Perry and Bischel were going at it. Perry accusing Bischel of turtling. Yeah, but when you jump a guy like that, he's got really no choice. That's exactly what happened. But nevertheless, I like it. The bad blood ramped up at the end of that game. And buckle up. I think it's going to be one hell of a series. And now we don't have to talk about Dallas's game one issues anymore either. They could not win a game
in a row
for years. And now all of a sudden, here we go. 2 game one wins in a row to start a series for the Dallas Stars. So I'm glad we don't have to talk about that again. Alex, welcome in. It was a great Betcast. It was a great betting night as far as pregame bets. What do we, other than first goal of first period for Dallas, we hit everything else. We had Dallas money line. We had the over trifecta last night. First period over, full game over. First period, both teams to score. We hit all of that. We had a couple live bets that went well in the Betcast. So it was a great night overall, Alex, and what a game it was to start the series.
Yeah, it was a fantastic night. Like I said, grabbing that over by Fecta for me in game. We added on to that both teams to score in the first period, and then cashing with out of the 6 goals for Dallas, we got 4 of them with the next to score prop. We actually doubled up on one when Florida took or Dallas took a penalty. And I think Florida was minus 167 to score next goal. Dallas was plus 150.
And went for it again. Yes,
we went for it again, and that's something that we like to do in the playoffs. Like I said, I was trusting in Dallas to get that big penalty kill and to ride that momentum into getting another goal. And they did exactly that. And so, yesterday was a masterclass, I think, by both of us and everybody that was in the group. We all chipped in and did well as far as live betting goes. So it was a great night on that front and a great win, like you said, for Dallas to show that the series, the game one series win against Winnipeg wasn't a fluke. To be able to take advantage of the home ice, take advantage of the momentum you had from winning that last game and carry it over. And I think we saw exactly that. It was a little bit of a sluggish start, but they were able to still pick themselves up off the ground. I said it on the Betcast. That's the mark of a champion. When you see these teams that are able to come back and not quit down 2 goals, 3 goals, they fight back. And sure enough, I thought that was going to be a game that, I had the draw in pocket. And I was thinking, okay, they tied up at 3. Maybe this pace slows down and it goes past regulation. But Dallas did not take their foot off the gas. And that's important to do this time of year. When you're playing against whoever you're playing against now is the best team you've played all season long. And that's the way you have to treat it as such. You can't let up on a team like Edmonton. We know how resilient they can be. They know how resilient they can be just from playing them in a series a couple of years ago. So to see Dallas with that finish, that killer instinct we talk about at the end of that game, and like you said, standing up, there's going to be the chirping and the shots and the cheap shots. They held their own with that as well. And that's going to be the carryover into the start of game 2. That energy and momentum for both teams will be on high alert. And I would certainly be looking at first period over, both teams to score, things of that nature early in that contest again, because I think we will see some of that still, that animosity carry over to the start of that contest.
And what one last thing about Dallas, why were they able to come back? Why were they able to win? What did I say one of the keys to them winning this series was? With how great Edmonton's depth has stepped up for them. Henry, Perry, Connor Brown, players like that, if Kapanen wins the series against Vegas, they've been getting their depth contributing offensively. It's not just been Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. The one issue with Dallas, even though they've gotten to this point, is that they've relied a lot on the Finns and a lot on Wyatt Johnston. They needed to get Tyler Seguin going, and look at the game he had. The Marchments could still get going, but I thought he was better last night, other than the bad penalty he took. They had to get Duchesne going. He scores. Seguin gets 2 goals. They had to get some of those guys going offensively because they had been pretty quiet up until this point, and they did. And that is a huge, big deal for Dallas that those guys have started to percolate offensively if they're going to win this series and beyond. Matt, what a game. Your thoughts on it?
I think it just demonstrated why I liked Dallas so much coming into the playoffs. I knew they just had to get past Colorado. If they could do that, and they did just barely, but they did, then they could get healthy. Robertson still hasn't scored a goal in the playoffs, but it's coming eventually. The longer they play, he's going to start to pop a few in.
You may say otherwise, but he's not 100%. I'm convinced.
No, probably not, right? I don't think when you come back from that long term of an injury, how could you be just hopping right back into the playoffs, especially? So, but he doesn't look terrible, and Heiskanen continues to get more and more comfortable, scoring his first goal on home ice all year last night. So chalk that off, or check that off the list. And it's just Dallas is a team that's been there now 3 years in a row to this stage. Much like Carolina, they have a lot to prove here. I would say a lot of pressure, but also they've got guys like Ottinger, who is a year older, a year more experienced. Heiskanen, same deal. You add Mikko Rantanen. The depth is better scoring-wise for them. No offense to Logan Stankoven, but that was an upgrade. They just have no weak spots. As long as they were able to get healthy, they look like they're rolling. And Edmonton played so well at the end of that Vegas series. Very impressed. And really the first two periods last night going according to the blueprint. But the reason I didn't like Edmonton to go all the way this year was because of the goaltending. And I think we saw that in the third period. The Heiskanen goal, Skinner looking really small behind that screen. And the go-ahead goal by Duchesne, I'm not even sure what he's doing there. He takes so long to get over to the near side post. He never actually got there. And then he complains about something after the puck goes in. Yeah, what is he doing on that play? He looks unathletic. He looks slow. But not like Calvin Pickard's that much better either once he gets back to health. So I just think that's still just a glaring spot for the Oilers to try to overcome. Not that they can't. We saw the Stars do it again last night through 40 minutes. So they can certainly overcome a lot. But I just think against an opponent the caliber of the Stars, I don't think it's going to happen this round. I think Dallas does take it. And I think game one was a pretty good epitome of what I was thinking. So I was happy to see it the way it turned out.
This is getting to the point of kind of crazy with Stuart Skinner as far as game 1 through 3 and a save percentage in the low 800s now for Stuart Skinner in games 1 through 3 of a playoff series. And the win-loss record, I think, is now, 4-12 or something like that. It's just hard to fathom that he's been so wretched at times. And it wasn't all on him last night. There were a couple of those goals he couldn't have done anything about, but there were a couple where he's just deep in his net, as you mentioned, Matt, and he's just slow to get post to post. And just tracking the puck was a problem for him, with some of those goals last night. And then yet in game 4, 5, 6, and 7 of a playoff series the last 2 years, he's looked like Marty Brodeur. And he's been like 12-1 and 940 save percentage, multiple shutouts. Like, I'm trying to come up with a reason for why is he so off his game early in a series, and he's almost lights out unbeatable later in a series. And obviously, you'd prefer him to be better later in the series. That is a good thing. But why are there so many struggles for him in these games 1, 2, and 3 early in a series? It takes him a while to maybe diagnose what the opponent's trying to do, as far as tendencies. Maybe he's slow to pick up how the other team is trying to go about beating him. And it takes him a few games. And then when he figures that out, he starts playing better. I don't know what the reason is for this massive discrepancy from his games 1 through 3 to games 4 through 7, but it's insane. It's insane to have the numbers he has in games 1 through 3, like 830, 840 save percentage and 4-11 record. And then games 4 through 7, he's like 12-1 and 940 save percentage. That's a huge difference. And it's hard to wrap your brain around why that is.
Yeah, I think he's just an inconsistent goalie, honestly. That's why he's an average NHL goalie, because he gets hot and cold, and it's worked out for the Oilers that he's been hot late in the series. I'm not sure there's a rhyme or reason to it besides the fact that that's his career, right? So it just has happened to fall in a good spot for Edmonton so far, the last 2 postseasons.
If I'm Chris Knobloch and I'm in his shoes as head coach of this team, and if I find out that Calvin Pickard is healthy and available for game 2, I might play him in game 2 and in game 3, knowing these numbers of Stuart Skinner, and then maybe I do what I did last year against Vancouver in the second round, and game 4, then I'll go back to Skinner, give him a couple days to, and then game 4 through 7, Skinner, comes back out to play and does what he does in game 4 through 7, where he's looked like a completely different goaltender. So I would be thinking of doing that, quite honestly, if I'm Chris Knobloch, especially if I know the numbers. Like, I know this guy's had a tough time 1, 2, and 3 in a series, and he's been lights out in 4 through 7. So if I know that, and if I've got Pickard healthy to play in game 2, why would I not play Pickard? Why would I not do that? It's food for thought. Alex, what would you do if you're in Knobloch's shoes?
I would probably look at playing Calvin Pickard. I would trust in the numbers, especially since you've done it already and it worked out. It'd be one thing if this is something where you tried and it failed, or you haven't tried it before. But the fact that like I said, you have great reference with what happened in that Vancouver series last year, which was a dicier time to make a call like that. With this now, if you're like I said, he's healthy for games 2 and 3. Okay, unless he completely craps the bed, and if he's not ready, and you'll know that in game 2 to the point where you'll just go back to Skinner in game 3. But you know that you can trust these goaltenders enough to balance back and forth with them. Roll with your numbers and trust in the fact that you've done this before.
Yeah, no doubt, and he has. Like, he's just played musical chairs to perfection last year in the playoffs. Chris Knobloch, he knew when to put Pickard in, and he knew when to go back to Skinner. And look, even in the last round, now it was out of necessity because of injury, but Pickard gets hurt against Vegas, but he knew when to go to Pickard in the LA series, and look what happened. They came back and won the series, and then he had to go back to Skinner because of the injury to Pickard against Vegas, and look what Skinner did. It was in that 4 through 7 he came back, and he's looking like 4 through 7 Skinner, 2 shutouts back to back. This is crazy. Like, I don't know if I've seen something like this ever. A goaltender in the playoffs where he's noticeably bad in game 1, 2, and 3, and he's noticeably like a Hall of Fame goalie in 4 through 7. Like, the difference is that stark for Stuart Skinner. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in game 2. One thing for sure, Edmonton will push back from this, and Dallas is going to have to ramp it up even more to win game 2, because Edmonton's not going to be feeling good about that third period. And that collapse that took place. So, like I said, that was a great game. Tremendous job by the Dallas Stars, and we'll see how game 2 plays out. And if the rest of the series is like game 1 last night, it's going to be one hell of a series. All right, let's turn our attention to tonight. We will be on live for our Betcast throughout this game tonight. Game 2, Eastern Conference Final. Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes. Florida up 1-0 in the series. Carolina minus 130 home favorites here in game 2. And the total 5.5 shaded to the under here in this game. I'm not going to belabor it because we talked a little bit about it in the recap of game 1 yesterday. So it's just repeating what I said. Carolina's got to come out fast, come out strong, come out of the gate storming, no pun intended, and get on the board early and get the lead. Because if they don't get the lead, this Florida team, it's like tentacles of a piranha. It's just going to grip you. And it's just going to end up, with the vice grip on you, and you're going to be in some trouble. You've got to play from ahead. You've got to get the lead. You've got to put Florida in a position where they've got to try to open things up a little bit. And if you don't, and you fall behind again, because look, it's unfortunate that Carolina 5-on-5, I thought at least, 5-on-5 in the first period of game 1, Carolina played all right. And I thought they had the better play in the 5-on-5 portion of that game 1 in the first period, especially. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter when you take a penalty and you can't kill it. And Carter Verhaeghe makes it 1-0, and then they add to it with the 2-0 goal. And of course, they're down 2-1 after the first period. And, it was an uphill battle from that point on. They made some uncharacteristic mistakes. Bad pinch led to a 3-1 Florida goal from A.J. Greer, and that fourth line does more damage. Greer, Noshik, and Gadjevich, which is a stroke of genius by Paul Maurice, putting them together as a line as a fourth line in the Toronto series, and that really did help flip the series around in their favor, because that line has scored goals. They've been physical. They've done just so much positive for the Florida Panthers, and it was just a great job by Maurice to put that line together. Carolina's got to get the first goal. It is truly that simple. If they're going to win this game and tie this series going back to Florida, they have to have a strong start. I thought they did a lot of good things in that first period in game 1. They just couldn't finish. And the chances they did have, goalie Bob, Sergei Bobrovsky was very good. This time they need a finish. You can only talk so long about, oh, they're defending so hard and they're blocking shots and Bobrovsky's been great. No, you got to put the puck in the freaking net at this time of year if you're going to win games. And they're going to have to do that here tonight. They're going to have to do it early because if they don't get the first goal, they're in trouble. The angle has been strong. We've talked about it. I think even Matt probably heard it the first time he was on the show. Teams that lose the previous game of a playoff series, scoring a goal in the first period of the next game, it's a strong winning record with that angle so far in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So BetMGM has the best price with this, -145. We'll take Carolina goal in the first period, -145. That's the only look that I like personally on Carolina, is just them to score in the first period. Because if they don't, the longer this game goes, the worse it might become for them and the better it becomes for Florida, who, as they've shown, gets stronger throughout the game. That being said, while I'm on Carolina to score a goal in the first period of this game, I do not trust Carolina to win the game. And the one thing that we've seen consistently from Florida is they get stronger as the game goes on. They have had no issues putting the puck in the net on the road. 38 road goals in 8 road playoff games for the Florida Panthers, and a +13 goal differential in just their last 3 road games alone. So they are road warriors. They've had 38 goals on the road in the playoffs. And I went back and looked. I saw that in the 8 road playoff games that Florida has played, they have scored at least 3 goals in 7 of the 8 road playoff games. That's a remarkable show of consistency. And the fact that I can get for the full game, Florida Panthers team total over 2.5 at -112, I think that's just a great price. And I'm going to take that as well. So it's a unique approach here. Carolina first period goal or over 0.5, whatever you want to call it. And Florida full game team total over 2.5, -112. Because I got to admit, while I've applauded Freddie Anderson for a great playoff so far, there were some things about him I didn't love in game 1, as far as he was slow to track pucks. He was not, poking his head around the traffic in front of the net. He didn't do a good enough job, like that kind of stuff. He didn't do enough of that in game 1. Like, this team is going to be in your grill, man, in the blue paint and in the crease the whole series. You've got to do the old peek around the traffic and try to find and locate that puck coming through. If you're not, you're in trouble. That's how the Bennett goal went in game 1. The Sam Bennett goal. He couldn't find the puck, couldn't track it, didn't see it. If you're going to do a better job of getting around the traffic that Florida's going to present to you, you got to do the old glance around. That head's got to be on a swivel. And I don't think he did a good enough job of that. Now, you could say rust factor. I get it. It had been a long time since he had played, but he's going to have to do a better job with that, because Florida's not changing their MO. They're not changing their approach. No. They are going to get bodies to the net, and they are going to take the eyes of Freddie Anderson away at every opportunity. So he's going to have to do a better job, locating those pucks from in deep. So these are the 2 bets pregame, and everything else will be on the Betcast tonight. But Carolina goal in the first period, Florida team total for the game, over 2.5, -112. I'm actually going to dabble in the Perlo special. Perlo will be on the Betcast tonight. And he's on with us, of course, Mondays and Wednesdays on the Daily Show. But I'm going to tag along with his Carolina, and I actually suggested it to him, and he agreed, so I assume he likes it. Carolina goal in the first period, Florida goal in the second period parlay. Perlo's been hitting these Perlo specials. One team to score in the first period, the other team to score in the second period. I think that makes a lot of sense. Carolina, the hot start, and Florida very capable of scoring in the second period, even if they fall behind early. So I like that look as well as far as pregame. I'm not touching the full game total pregame, though, at 5.5. I'll take my overs from game 1. I'm not going back to it tonight because I do think it tightens up a little bit here tonight in game 2. Anything we do with the full game total will be a in-game look during the live Betcast here tonight. Alex, game 2, Eastern Conference Final, Florida, Carolina.
Yeah, so I got to start with what I've did as far as futures goes between game 1 and game 2. I did grab Florida 4-0 to win the series, so sweep the series at +550 is actually the price I got. 500 +500 +550 still around, so shop around for that. I also grabbed Florida to win series 4-1 +375. So got those in, and now for just this game, getting a little more creative. Like I said, we have the Betcast tonight, so anything with totals, I would certainly be waiting for in game. But I do like Carolina to score the first goal of the first period, plus 125. And then I went with a couple of parlays. I took Carolina over a half goal in the first period, combined with that Florida team total over 2.5. You can get that plus 178 was the price that I saw at FanDuel. And then I also went with Carolina over a half a goal in the first period with Florida to win the game. I got that at plus 300 over at Bet Online. I saw plus 284 if you do that at FanDuel too. So those are the ways I'm kind of attacking that, kind of adding on and boosting the price of that a little bit.
There you go. So and Alex is telling us clear as day is in his mind, he's not liking Carolina's chances. And I got to admit, I thought game one was that hurt them big time losing that game because I thought that game was so important for them. And there's a lot of warning signs. And this is nothing for me. It's just this is more Florida. I know there's the rhetoric and the narrative of 13 straight games that they've lost as a franchise in the conference final, Carolina. It's not so much that we think this could be a shorter series now because of that. It's more so who they're playing. Florida. Yeah. Like they just seem to be they get it. It's almost like the Toronto series. They realized, you know what, we kind of got away with that series. Like we were on the ropes there. We were 1 goal away in overtime of game 3 from being down 3-0 in that series. And it's almost like, you know what, we survived a game effort from the Leafs and time to kick it into overdrive right now. And boy, they look like a team that's starting to do that right now. And I'm amazed how much gas and energy they still seem to have for a team that's now in their 3rd straight deep Stanley Cup playoff run. And it's, I think, because of the depth. And Maurice can roll 4 lines and a 4th line and a 3rd line that are killing it offensively.
But here's the interesting thing about that. And I was thinking about this as I was making those 4-0, 4-1 bets. They close this thing out in a sweep. We know Dallas Edmonton's probably going to go at least 5-6 games. That series goes all the way through. We're talking about quite a bit of layover time between the end of game 4 and the start of game 1 of the Cup final. We could be talking about maybe 11, 12 days. And with this Florida team playing just over the last 2 calendar years, the amount of high pressure, high level hockey they've played, that's a lot of rest to have after having such a smooth run in the first 3 rounds, potentially.
That's something to keep in mind if this is a shorter series. This is going to determine, I think, if it's a short series. Like Carolina could go bye-bye if they lose this game tonight. But if they win this game tonight, then we could still see one heck of a series and a competitive one. But it hinges on this game. That is why this game is so important, because Carolina could be going away quietly into the night if they do not win game 2 tonight here at home at the Lenovo Center. So that's why it's only game 2 of a series, but it feels like a very, very important game, especially knowing that Carolina is on this ridiculous losing slide in a conference final as a franchise, including the last time they were in this round against this same team when they got swept 2 years ago by the Florida Panthers. Matt, what do you think here? What's your approach for game 2, Panthers-Canes?
Yeah, I'm Canes heavy here. I'm still feeling pretty good about Carolina. To your point about the 5-on-5 play, I thought it was more than adequate, more than good enough to take an early lead. And as we all know, playing with the lead is so important against a school team like the Panthers, a deep team that can roll 4 lines, and a team that has been there before. So I just feel like the first period is going to be pivotal throughout this series. And I like the Canes to come out strong and maybe put one on the board here. I like that bet that the Canes might score in the first period. I also agree with that. But I also feel like it's going to be a lower scoring game. And I'm looking at that tie through 60 minutes plus 300 on DraftKings. I'm feeling overtime today, even though I am confident that the Canes do have a nice rebound. They looked a little bit shoddy, a little bit rusty when it came down to executing those scoring plays. But I think game 1 should help with that, just get them back into the groove. And just looking at the series too, Carolina to win the series plus 200. It's not great value, but I still believe in this Carolina team. Maybe I'm being a little foolish here considering the caliber of the opponent. And what is it? 68% of teams who win game 1 win the series. So like I said, it's basically 2-1 there. And it's 2-1 for Carolina to win the series if you place money on them at the moment on DraftKings. But I'm sticking steadfast with the Canes still for one more game. I'm not going to let game 1 freak me out. I saw enough good there, I guess, from game 1.
And that's why I went with Matt because I think Carolina can win this game tonight, and it wouldn't shock me if they do, and they damn well better, from their standpoint.
Yeah, right. That's also a factor too. They pretty much have to.
Because I thought at 5-on-5 they played solid, in game one. They just didn't finish, and they got killed by penalties, and their penalty kill, which has been vaunted, that's what's concerning to me. The Carolina penalty kill has been spectacular for years. It was great again this year, and here's Florida, multiple power play goals against it in game one. Not a good sign. You don't want to be either have to shore up this penalty kill or stop taking penalties. That's certainly the way you got to go about it. But this is a big game for Carolina. I thought 5-on-5, they did a lot of good things. Problem is they didn't finish enough, and that's going to have to change here tonight in this game. And I don't like Rod Brind'Amour going potentially again with Scott Morrow on the blue line. I thought he had a dreadful game one. And it looks like Chatfield might be back, but it's going to be a game time call for Jalen Chatfield. Jalen Chatfield is 10 times what I saw to Scott Morrow the other night. So it's very important they get Jalen Chatfield back, because it sounds like if Chatfield's a no-go once again tonight in game two, they're going to stick with Morrow. And I disagree. Nick Easton should be in. I love the way that kid played against Washington. I saw him be physical. I saw him shoot the puck pretty well with a good deal of velocity. I thought he did a lot of good things. I know he's a rookie. He's only played one playoff game, but I didn't think Scott Morrow was any good, quite honestly, in game one. He was at fault for a couple of the goals. He was on the ice for a couple of the goals that Florida scored. So I don't like what Rod's doing here if he goes back to Morrow. Hopefully Chatfield is back for him, but if it's not, he should be going to Nikishin. And it's sounding like if Chatfield doesn't play again, it's going to be Scott Morrow again on the blue line. I don't like that. I don't like that move by Rod. And I know he's done a great job here. And normally I don't, disparage his decision-making, but I don't agree with this one. That's for sure. Matt's going to have to head out in a couple of minutes. So what we will do is we will get right to bargain bin special of the night and best bet from Matt before he leaves the show. And there is potential that Matt will join us for a little bit on the Betcast tonight. So excited about that, if Matt's going to be able to join us for a period of the game tonight during the Panthers and the Hurricanes. But Matt, great stuff. You're welcome back on the show anytime you want. But bargain bin special of the night. We have to remind everybody just what an incredible debut bargain bin special of the night call that Matt Geitka made on this show in his debut appearance with Connor Hellebuck, the much maligned Connor Hellebuck, to get a shutout plus 700 that night. And he got a shutout in that game. What a way to start your bargain bin special resume, if you will. So, Matt, the pressure's on for an encore performance here. What do you got for bargain bin special tonight, game 2 in the Eastern Conference Final?
Well, I'm feeling it. I'm going to go a little bit deeper in terms of the odds here. I felt like that was a fairly safe bargain bin pick, if there is such a thing, at plus 700 with obviously the caliber of Hellebuck. He ended up shutting out the Stars twice in the series, so maybe I got him going. I should get some royalties for that. But tonight, as I was saying, I feel like Carolina has that strong rebound. All signs point to a really good first period for the Hurricanes tonight. So I'm going to go with first period goal for Logan Stankoven. I think he's a great fit for what the Canes do. And that's plus 1,300 on DraftKings. So, yeah, like I said, longer shot for my second try at the bargain bin. But Logan Stankoven, first period goal scorer, plus 1,300. That's getting my seal of approval for the Thursday night game 2.
There you go. I like it. Outside the box, great price. It reminded me of taking Sam Steele last night, plus 1,400, and we came that close to cashing it. So Logan Stankoven for the Carolina Hurricanes to score in the first period, plus 1,300 for Matt with his bargain bin special of the night. And best bet for game 2, Matt, what do you got?
Yeah, best bet. I hinted at it, but I am thinking it's a close game, a lower scoring game. So I'm feeling our first overtime game of the conference finals on either side. I've got a plus 300 for OT tonight, and gonna ride with that one as far as more reasonable betting odds are concerned.
So you're going, wow, how about that? Not only the bargain bin being plus 1,300, but his best bet, Matt, is the draw here tonight in game 2 between the Florida Panthers.
Plus 320 is the best price I saw for that. So
okay. Yeah. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking it's a lower scoring game. I feel like it's going to tighten up a bit. The Canes are going to be tighter, and we know that all of the Panthers can lock it down like anybody else in this league, better than anybody else in this league at times.
I like it. I like that you're giving big plus prices for both of your looks here, for the bargain bin, obviously, and then for the draw here. And I kind of feel like we're going to get an overtime game at some point. But yeah, plus 320 looks to be the best price out there. So there you go. Draw plus 320, Florida, Carolina, for Matt Geico with his best bet for Game 2 tonight. Matt, we'll let you run because we know you got to head out. Great stuff, and we hope to see you for a little bit during the Betcast tonight.
Yeah, if you see me tonight, it'll be late, probably post 10 o'clock, but hoping to join you for the third
best
period
part of the
there.
game, third period.
Yeah, right. Why not? It was last night, that's for sure. So see you then, hopefully.
All right, Matt. Great to see you. We'll see you later.
Yep. Bye-bye.
There we go. Matt Geico with us here on the Thursday edition. Great stuff. All right. I think we've talked about, we're basically, we already talked about the game. The only thing missing is we got to do our bargain bin special and best bet, which we will do in just a moment. Shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button. We appreciate it very much. And a reminder, make sure you check out our Betcast tonight, free for all. So again, all you got to do is DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the Betcast. Just say, hey, I want to be on the Betcast tonight. Send me the link, and we will send you the link for the Betcast before it begins at 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight. So looking forward to it. 8 p.m. Eastern, live Betcast, Game 2, Eastern Conference Final. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
We got to remind them that people who get priority to join us on the Betcast are Patreon members.
Yep, no doubt. They are priorities. So if a non-Patreon member is there in the we don't know if we'll reach capacity or not, but let's say we do, and there's someone that's on the Betcast that's not a Patreon member, and someone that is waiting to get on, we're going to say, hey, we got to let this guy on. Sorry. It's a priority, man.
There's a way to jump the line, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
It's the way it works, no doubt. But still, looking forward to it. Anyone welcome to join us here tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Ice Guys Live Betcast, free for all. This is our monthly free Betcast. We'll have one more free Betcast in June, likely, of course, during the Stanley Cup Final. So definitely looking forward to that. And again, plenty more Patreon Betcasts coming up as well for the rest of the conference finals and the Stanley Cup finals as well. So make sure you get on board. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. Again, $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. Your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. And again, the daily betting card. And we're going to have player suite interviews in the off season coming up that we'll record. We're going to post daily card of other sports that are non-hockey when the NHL offseason hits. So we'll still give you some bets, some picks, some content will flow daily with the daily card, even when the NHL goes into off-season mode. So we stress to keep the subscriptions going, if you like. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. 4 days left. You can save 20% off on all items in the store right now. Hit the redeem button at the homepage, add your items to the cart, and 20% will be taken off at checkout. We've got everything in stock except for a couple of jackets that are sold out temporarily. But all the shirts, all the caps, all the goodies you know and love are there and available right now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. 4 days left, 20% off.
Yeah, no doubt. Looking forward to that. And looking forward to, it sounds like, because he got back to me earlier today, probably when the Stanley Cup Final is going on, we've got Rob Schremp likely going to join us on the show. Of course, long time. He was a high draft pick, incredible junior player with the London Knights, of course, who have been a juggernaut in junior hockey. His pro career didn't pan out like he hoped for, but still, he played a lot of years pro hockey. He's on the radar to be joining us as a guest on the show during the Stanley Cup Final. So definitely excited. And he's doing a lot of great content right now regarding hockey, coaching, training, a lot of observational video breakdown type of content that he's doing as well, breaking down plays and, basically instructional for young players trying to get into the game. So probably going to get great analysis, more than likely, from Rob Schremp with the stuff he's doing. So excited about that in just a couple of weeks from now. But hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. We got Bargain Bin Special of the night. Best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social. And a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Hey, Alex, have you checked out the latest with the great trading platform Kalshi?
Yes, I have. It's been fantastic. This is one of the first and only federally regulated prediction markets in the U.S. And if you're looking for odds for all kinds of different things, not just what we're talking about, the markets in the Stanley Cup, the NBA Finals, you can trade crypto. You can look for trades within the markets involving entertainment, politics. There's all kinds of different markets you can look from, and you can use the odds over at Kalshi.
Time of year to get involved with Kalshi. Certainly if you're a sports fan, Stanley Cup playoffs, NBA playoffs, baseball now underway, with all the different markets to create winning trades. Make sure you're checking out all that Kalshi has to offer.
Absolutely. And if you're trading with Kalshi, use the link kalshi.com/iceguys. You trade $100 or more, they will send you $10 back. So it's fantastic to use, like I said, any kind of markets beyond sports. We're talking entertainment, politics, crypto, basically anything you want.
So make sure you sign up, kalshi.com/iceguys. Note that it's live on Robinhood and available in all 50 states, making it the first legal place to trade on these kind of events nationwide. Check it out, kalshi.com/iceguys. Shout out to all our great sponsors, Boston Hemp Inc., 20% off using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com and kalshi.com/iceguys. Great trading platform, more than just sports. Check it out, kalshi.com/iceguys. All right, bargain bin special of the night. We heard from Matt earlier. He is going with first period goal scorer, Logan Stankoven for Carolina at plus 1,300. Alex, bargain bin special. What do you got?
I was torn between two players for Florida, so I'm just going to roll with both of them. We'll go with E2, Cool Mint Lusterinen. I got him plus 850 anytime goal scorer. It's available at BetMGM. Like I said, he's been on a tear right now, and he's got points in 7 of the last 10 games. And then I'm also going with Gustav Forsling, anytime goal scorer, 12-1. That's available at both FanDuel and BetMGM. I could just see where a shot from the point might trickle in, and he gets credit for it. So E2 Lusterinen plus 850 anytime goal scorer. Gustav Forsling plus 1,200 anytime goal scorer. Those are my two bargain bin specials for Game 2 tonight.
All right, a couple of Panthers for Alex B. Smith with a bargain bin special of the night. I've got two, and one of mine is Alex's. I'm also on the Listerine man, Cool Mint Lusterinen. E2 Cool Mint Lusterinen also plus 850. It's a great price. He's been phenomenal. And he's gotten his offensive game going even more and more and more with each game. So he's my clear choice for Florida for a value goal prop tonight. Lusterinen plus 850. And for Carolina, they need to get their depth scoring going. Florida got gotten their third and their fourth line to chip in offensively the last few games. And when I think of third and fourth line scorers for the Carolina Hurricanes, especially at playoff time, I think of Jordan Martinook. And that's who I'm going with tonight. Jordan Martinook for Carolina, plus 700 is the best price out there at BetMGM for him. So E2 Cool Mint Lusterinen, plus 850 for Florida, and Jordan Martinook, plus 700 for Carolina for my bargain bin specials of the night for Game 2, Eastern Conference Final. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, let's go with that parlay combo of Carolina to get a goal in the first period combined with the Panthers to win the contest. I got that, like I said, plus 300. Parlay is available at Bet Online, plus 284, plus 285 if you find that around FanDuel or BetMGM. So shop around and make that connection. But that's my best bet. Carolina over a half in the first period and Florida to win the game. That's a parlay.
All right, there you go. I like it for Alex P. Smith. The Perlo special a little bit in that one. No, you've got Carolina goal in the first. And
Carolina goal in the first and then Florida to win the game.
Florida to win the game. I like
Florida
that. It's a creative way to go about Florida money line, Carolina goal in the first period. I like that combo as well. It makes a lot of sense for Alex B. Smith for best bet. All right, my best bet. I was debating in this one. What do we rock with here? Between the two that I've liked pregame, I'm gonna. You know what? I'll stick with Carolina one more time. Goal in the first period, minus 145 for Carolina. We'll go with that for best bet. I really like the Florida team total over 2.5. That's what I was debating as far as best bet, but I'll go with Carolina. I'll put my faith in Carolina that at least in the first 20 minutes tonight, they can find the back of the net and get on the board in a game they've got to have. So Carolina, first period goal, minus 145 will be my best bet here for Game 2. All right, great stuff. Remember, Betcast tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. DM me or Alex for a spot on the Betcast, and we will send you the link before it begins, 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. Florida, Carolina, Game 2. Looking forward to it. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. We'll see you for the Betcast, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Ice Guys.